Hey guys, I just want to deliver a quick message before we start the video, and I would really appreciate it if you went on my channel and hit the big red subscribe button and turned on notifications to make sure you get an update every time I post a video and you will not miss anything. And back to your video. Thank you. Hello Legends of Today and the Future, this is TBB here, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted to develop your own game, your own Roblox game in fact, and you just have not known where to start because you get into the studio and all you see is something that's intimidating? Well, boy, have you clicked on the right video, because I will show you how to make your full-on Roblox game from scratch, starting from the base plate. Now first, it's gonna take a lot of scripting, and you're gonna need to get used to that, and a lot of building, so there is a lot of work ahead, but I promise you it is worth it. So just sit back and enjoy the video. Hello Legends of Today and Tomorrow, this is TBB here, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own game on Roblox. And in this episode, we are going to be continuing our leaderboard script that we have right here. And we are going to basically finish it, so it's a complete script, and we can save everyone's data without error. So, we're basically going to pick up right where we left off, and we need to make something called a bindable event for the binding to close on the game so it can function right. We need to have this, so it's basically to prevent you from getting cheated out of your money that maybe you bought and it doesn't save, because that's really bad. I would get really triggered if I spent something on some currency that I couldn't earn or I wanted to buy so I can have more, and then the game fails to save it, because that would technically get you reported. And so we're gonna do local bindable event. Bindable event. So we're gonna make a variable called bindable event, and it's gonna make a new instance. So instance.new, and we're just gonna type bindable event because it's actually a thing. And we're gonna drop down to. So that's all we needed to do. And we're gonna do game dot players. So now we're gonna find when the player removes or when the player leaves. So player removing. So during the time, that little bit of time when the player is leaving, we're gonna connect to another function. And it's the same thing as above with the parameter being player. We're going to drop down, and we're going to define our variables for the keys, but to avoid error, we're going to just take these two and copy and paste them down here into this, like that. Simple as that. So now we're going to drop 2, and we're going to make a pcall function, pcall function, no parameter. We are going to save the data off the bat. So player stats, we're not going to make it a variable, so that means it's going to happen. Colon, instead of get async, we're going to do set async. So it's going to update an entry or create an entry, depending if they have one or not, with the coin key. And now we're going to save the player's coin. So to tell it that, we're going to put a comma. And we can't do coin.value because that's a local variable that is local to the player join function. So we have to scope it out. So we're going to do player dot leader stats. Now we could do dot coin dot value, or we can shorten this up a bit by putting brackets and put currency, which is what we had up here. So it just says coin in brackets dot value. So that means it's going to find the currency inside the leader stats, and it's going to put it at the value. And so now we're going to go outside, drop a line, we're going to do it again, but for the win, so players left, colon set async. And we're going to do the victory key. And we're going to say player dot leader stats dot wins dot value. So we're going to save the value of the wins. So it's going into the leader stats folder and saving the value number of wins and the currency. So therefore it could be loaded up here. So we're going to drop a bit. We're actually going to go another line up here. We're going to do print saving player data. There we go. Now we're going to go down here, drop another one. We're going to print stats saved just like that. I'm going to drop 2 more, and we're going to do players left is equal to players left minus 1. So in the Pico, we're going to subtract the amount of players, and then we're going to drop again. We're going to do bindable event dot or colon. We're going to fire it just like that. So we're going to fire the event, and it's going to be picked up in a function right below this. So it's going to be game colon bind to close function, no parameter. Inside this, we're going to do a while loop. So while the amount of players left is greater than 0, so while there's more than 0, we're going to do this bindable event dot event. So when that event is fired, we're going to wait. So whenever someone leaves, it's going to fire the event, and if this is greater than 0, we're going to wait. Now when the game, if it's 0, it's going to wait a little bit, and then while it's going to just not do this, and the game's just going to close, and no one's going to lose their currency. And this right here, everything that we have is our complete leaderboard script. Looks very nice. So now I recommend pausing the video right here, and if you plan on it, building up your lobby to make it look nice. I'm not going to do that, but I'll give you an example of what some of my lobbies look like. But right now, just build it up if you want, and I'll continue in about 2 seconds. Okay, so to make the main game script, we're going to go under server script service, and we're going to insert a script. And we're going to click on that script, go under name, and we're going to call it main game. Okay, so we're going to delete that text, service retrieval variables. So we're going to do local, and actually we're going to leave this right here in this main game. We are going to make a status of the game depending on like what's happening. So like there be a banner at the top that says this amount time of left and all this is happening and how much time until the game starts. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into replicated storage, and we're going to stick in a string value, and we're going to call it status. That's all you got to do. Don't put any value in it. It's not important. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that. Under started GUI, we're going to insert a screen GUI. If you plan on making a complex game, you're going to have a lot of GUIs here. I recommend sticking this in a folder and call it constant, because it's always going to be there. But I'm not, so I'm going to call this status. And then under status, we're going to insert a text label. And we're not going to give it a name, but anchor point, type 0.5, so it's going to center it completely. And border size pixel 0. We're going to wait on the background under position right here. Click on it, do percentage or ratio 0.5, so half the screen, 0, because there's no pixels, or we don't want to pixel alternate it, or pixel alter it. We're going to do another ratio. We're going to do about 0.15, so it's going to be about 15% down, and with no alteration. Hit enter, it's going to stick it right there, and no matter what size you have, because we just used the first number, it's always going to be varying depending on the size of their screen. So like if we go to iPhone 6, it's going to be in the center, iPod Touch is going to be in the center. Let's go to console, Xbox One. It's going to be in the center. iPad 2 is going to be in the center. As you can tell, it's universally centered, so which is really nice and convenient. Okay, so now we're going to come back here, and we're going to go under size, and we're going to make it relatively large. I'm going to make the background transparent. I'm going to make it about 500 pixels long. Actually, we're going to do those two like a good 700, because we don't want it to shrink too much. We don't want the text to shrink too much, and we can leave it 50 for the height. Background transparency, we can make 1. For the text color, we're going to make it white. We can set the text to, we're going to put in brackets game status. This is going to, none of the people in the game are going to see it like this because it's going to be updated as soon as the game runs. I'm going to click text scaled, and we're going to go under font, and we're going to change it to Gotham Bold because I like Gotham Bold. It's kind of nice. And we're going to go to text stroke color, and I'm going to set it to 0 so it's visible. And now you can customize this any way you want it to. You don't have to do it this way. As long as it's called status, there's a text label in it, and you have a value inside your replicated storage called status, you're set. And now to make this status text update to the status of the game, what it says is going to be defined in the game script, but it's going to be picked up and detected in here. So we're going to insert a local script because it's client level. It's going to be a relatively quick script. So we're going to do the variables local status is equal to game replicated storage colon wait for child status because you want to wait for it to exist. Local or no. Now we're gonna do function. So script.parent.text. So what that means is our start place of our search is the script. Now we want to target the parent. So now we're on the text label. Now we're going to find a property. We could either go on for parent, which would be the status up here, which will be what we want. Instead we want to go into a property, so the property of text, and we want to make it equal to the value of status. So the value of status is the parent of the text is going to be changed to whatever the value of status is because it's on the right side of the equal sign. If this was the other way around, the status of the value would be changed to whatever the text is. So we don't want to do that because otherwise the game would always it would start off with whatever text we see here, and we don't want that. So we just have this here so it can be seen in the editor. And then we're going to go down and we're going to do start off because it's what starts off, and then down here we're gonna do changed signal function. So we're gonna do status colon get property changed signal. So what that means is when the property of status up in the replicated storage is changed, we now in here we're going to define what property we want to be listened for. So we're going to find the value. So if the value is changed, the value property, if it's changed, we're going to connect that to a function with no parameters. So make sure that's spelled right. Get property changed signal. Now we're going to do just the same thing as we have on the start off script. Parent.text is equal to status.value. So what that means is whenever it changes, so once we set this, you might think we're done, but that's only going to run once. We want this to constantly be updated whenever the status changes, so we put this in here. So this is to set it off the bat to whatever it equals, and this is to keep it going. So you basically, this is the boost, and this is the gas that keeps it running. So that's all you have to do for this local script. It's a relatively quick script. I'm just going to give it a non-default name. And I'm going to do it status listener. Like that. Not listener, listener. My bad. I can't type today, and I can't type any day. So that's that done. So now our status is complete. So we're going to go back to our main game, and we're going to call upon the replicated storage. So we're going to make a variable for replicated storage is equal to game colon get service replicated storage. It's not too hard. Now we're going to do the same thing for server storage. Game colon get service server. Server storage. So now that we have those defined, we're going to go back into here. And we're gonna go in. We're gonna find our weapon for our game, and I was thinking of using a gun that I was using recently. So I'm gonna find the toolbox, open it up, and I'm gonna go under. I think it's either gonna be under inventory or recent. I don't know if I saved it. I have a lot of things in here. still going to be under recent, but I did use a lot of models since then, so I don't know if it would have saved. Oh, it did. It's the pistol. I think. I could have swore it was this pistol. So I'll leave the link to this in the description, but we're going to click here, and do we want to put it into the starter pack? No. So now it's called handgun. We're going to change that to pistol. And we're just going to quick check the scripts. This is just the maker of the gun. Welding. This basically welds it to you in the correct way. Don't mess with any of this. Handgun script. This takes place of basically the stuff that you do. Half of this I don't really know what it does. But I'm sure if I read this I would understand, because this is an awesome script language. I'll leave that off. Okay, so this is a relatively long script. 400 lines just for a friggin' gun. Good job. So yeah, we're going to take this thumbnail camera, delete it, and we're going to take this pistol. We're actually going to leave it there for now. Go under server storage, insert a folder, and call it weapons. There. And we're going to stick it in that folder called weapons. So, under back here again, we're going to go local, and we're just going to, if you have teams, we're going to do teams is equal to game, get service, teams. We're just sticking that in there. Probably won't use it. Now we're gonna do asset location variables. Now we're gonna go under server storage, and we're gonna insert another folder, and we're going to call this we're gonna do games, or don't type games in there, type folder. I get that confused a lot. We're gonna call it games. We're going to install our maps and our games with their purposes in here. So we're going to go back to the tutorial, to our workspace, and we're going to go into the click on workspace. We're going to click on part. We're going to insert a part. This is now our game. Hard to believe, but it is. We're going to stick it way out here, and we're going to go into the properties under behavior. Click anchored is true. That's crucial, so it doesn't fall off the face of the planet. We're just gonna scale her up a little bit, make her nice. Okay, we're just making sure the position is kind of in proportion. We're gonna make the size. Where's my size? We're gonna do 200 by 5 by 200. Real nice. We're gonna make these ones just like that, so it's perfectly to scale with the map, or with the workspace. So now this is now our map, and we're just gonna, I think I'm gonna make a grass. I'm gonna call it the ground. It's just the ground of the thing. Under appearance, we're gonna find the material. We're gonna make it grass. It's glass. We want grass. It's gonna look really ugly because it's gray grass, but we just simply correct the brick color to some. I think because that's more natural looking, because you usually don't have grass that looks as vibrant as you saw it there. And we're gonna move this out even farther because I think it's too close to the lobby. And we're going to move it down a little bit so it can be seen from the lobby. And we want to make our spawn points for it. So we're going to insert a part, not a spawn. We're going to do a part. And it's going to call it spawn point. Just like that. And if you don't know how I named it, I just clicked on it once. or you go down under properties and you can do name and you can enter it from there. We're gonna drag it all the way down. I'll do select and drag for ease of access. And we'll put that in. We're gonna scale it up. We're gonna just make it a little square. So our spawn, we're gonna hit anchor up here, or you can go and anchor it in the properties. So now it's anchored. Can collide, false. Transparency is 1. So we want it to be seen. Actually, we're gonna make it 0 for now so we can see it, but we're gonna change it later. We're gonna raise this up a little bit so the player doesn't get stuck on the map. And we're gonna put 12 of them in. So we're gonna scatter 12 spawn points. I accidentally messed up there. We're gonna scatter 12 spawn points throughout this map. And we're gonna take these, we're gonna duplicate them. So now we have 8. Now we have 12. And I'll just click on spawn point. I'll select them all, move them to a better location than I have them now. Just like that, so they're relatively in the middle. And then under transparency, you can put them in any configuration you want. I gotta put 1 so they're not seeable. So now they're basically not there, but they are there. We're gonna click on all of these, hit Control G, and under this model, we're gonna call it spawn points with capital P and capital S, and make sure it's points with an S at the end. Now we've gotten this far. I'm going to stick some models into here to make it look like a nice, decent map, so it doesn't look like I just cheaped it out.
Sometimes it's easy to be around you. Sometimes it's hard for me to be there too. One day you
I'm gonna make sure it like connects to it properly. Okay. Just gonna move it to the corner. Hopefully it's not on a spawn point. Okay, they're not on the spawn points. Good news, good news, good news. I know some of these trees are now, so that's a problem.
turn me inside out when you sleep, so I can rest. Now there's no turning back.
No, we need to do one more thing. We're gonna insert another part. I'm gonna go down here. We're gonna stick her right on the corner. Actually, just outside like this. And we're gonna go scale. We're gonna make it all the way the size. We're gonna anchor it, by the way. And we're gonna go under name. And we're gonna call it barrier. Like that. And we're gonna raise this up really high just to prevent someone from being able to fall off the map. And we're gonna take it, we're gonna hit Control D, we're gonna duplicate it, we're gonna move it all the way to the side over here. Just like that. So now, there's 2 parallel things here. The map is square, so what we can do is select these 2. Actually no, click one, Control, click the other, as long as if they're separated by this thing in the middle. And we're gonna hit Control D, and then we're gonna hit Control R to rotate them. And now we have a full surrounding map. But we're gonna fix this. We're gonna select all of them, and we're gonna go under transparency and set it to 1. But make sure can collide is true, so the player can't go through them, and it will be a barrier preventing them from falling off the map and eliminating themselves without, well, basically against their will. So we're gonna group these called barriers. And we're going to take everything we made for the map, and we're going to group it, and we're going to call it forest. Or we're going to do forest gun fight. So there we go. Stick that in the games folder, and there's your game. Back under here, we're going to do local games folder is equal to server storage, wait for child, because it might not be in the game yet by the time this part of the script is read. So we're gonna wait for it, and we're gonna wait for the games folder. So we're gonna define games. So it's gonna be it's called games. So that's what we named it. And we want to find the status. So it's replicated storage, not repeat, that's bad, wait for child, status. Now here you have to quick think of what you're gonna need for your game. So far this should be it for me. I'm probably gonna end up recalling that. We're gonna make another comment here. We're gonna call it game numerical. This is always gonna be added to, by the way. And we're gonna do local game one time because there's gonna be more than one type of game. And for the fight, which is the only one available, we're gonna make it about 90 seconds. So set it to the amount of seconds you want. This won't configure anything yet though. Local, okay, last survivor reward. So if there's the last person standing and there's only one left by the time the game is done, we're gonna give them 500 points. Basic reward, let's say the timer's out and there's more than one person left, so we're gonna get the basic reward and we're gonna do 100. It's usually what I do for most of my games. And we're gonna do our string variables, and we're gonna do local currency name is equal to coin, and local wins name is equal to wins. And make sure it's in quotations because that's the string. You need to put the string of what it's called. And now we can start creating our game loop. So we're gonna do our infinite game loop. Now this is what we need to do. So we're gonna do while true do. So what that means is while true do. Okay, so you think of the statement true, so that means anything that's gonna be true. Or I don't even know how to describe this. So let's say while 10 times 10 is equal to 100. So if we told this code to run, it would always run because 10 times 10 will always be equal to 100. It's because it's basically true. So basically to do that, you just put, or you could do, well, 1 is equal to 1. That's how you do it in like certain robot things. Because you don't always do this in like other codes, like in Vex robots, you use 1 equals 1. So while true, so that basically means infinitely do over and over again. We're gonna do status dot value. We're gonna change the value of status, and we're gonna equal to waiting for more players, and we're gonna do a minimum of 2 to play. There we go. And we're gonna do that, and it's going to say that we're gonna do repeat to wait until game.players.num. It doesn't come up as a suggestion, but it's a thing. Is greater than or equal to 2. So it's going to repeat this, waiting for more players, until that, and it's going to, okay, we're going to set it at this, and it's going to wait. The server is just going to wait until it, and then it's going to continue on. So now we're going to do status dot value is equal to players found. we're gonna wait 1 second, and we're gonna go into local. We're gonna make our player table. Players is equal to, and we're just gonna do that with curly braces, because that means it's now a table. That's the one thing Lua uses curly braces for, is tables, and we're just gonna do that. And okay, so after that, I'm gonna do for I, comma player in pairs, players or not, or game dot players colon get players. So what it means is for every player in the game, so get players means it's going to make a table out of every player that's in the game currently. And do. So now we're going to check if there's a player. So if there's a player. So player is the reoccurring thing for every single player in the table. So player, if there's a player, so that means for every player this is gonna happen. So for every player, if there's a player, then this is gonna run. What I means is I is right here. What that means is I is let's say you want to single something out in the table. I is gonna be like the numerical value for the, it's gonna be the index basically. So it's going to be changing depending on what you want. So if player, so then we want to make a global variable for a player. And we're going to make a global variable called character. So you just simply type it, and it's going to be equal to player.character. Global variables are best used in loops instead of local variables. That's what all these are. These are all local. This is a global variable. So the character is equal to the player and their character. So then, if there's a player, now we're going to find the character. If there is a character, so we want them to be an active player inside the game, we're going to do table dot insert players, the player table, and player. So we want it to insert every single player in the game. And then that's the end of that for loop. So now we're going to find the maps folder, local available maps is equal to games folder colon get children. Now what that's doing, it's getting all the children inside the games folder. In this case it's 1, so it's gonna make a table, temporary table, out of just one game. So now we're gonna make another one called chosen map is equal to available maps. So we're going to find that folder, or that table. We're going to do brackets, math, dot random. So it's going to pick an index from 1, which is going to be the games, which is going to be the first game in the folder, to the, now this other one, like let's say you have 10 games and it's not going to change, just put 10. But the best way to do this, you don't have to constantly update it, just put hashtag or # number, which means number of available maps. So that means it's going to be 1 to the number of whatever maps are available. So that number could be 10, 20, 30, it could be 2. So it's going to select one random map out of that folder. And local cloned map is equal to chosen map, not character. Chosen map, it should be there. Okay, it's not gonna be nice to me. So chosen map colon clone. So we're gonna create a clone of it. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. Let's delete this temporarily. We're gonna put another ending bracket there. So cloned map is equal to chosen map colon clone. So we're gonna clone it, and we're gonna parent it. So cloned map dot parent we're going to set the parent to the workspace. So you could do game dot workspace, or you could do just workspace, because that works. So now it's going to be stuck up in here so everyone can access it. And we're going to do something else now. Local available spawn points is equal to cloned map. Or actually, we're gonna do local spawn points is equal to clone map colon find first child. And remember what we named the model spawn points. Local available spawn points is equal to spawn points colon get children. So now we're going to make an index table out of that. And that's all we need to do. And now we want to make a loop for our... Now we want to... If the purpose of your game is like only one type of game, like it's only going to be a gunfight, or it's only going to be a knife fight, or just something, it's only going to be a race or whatever you're doing, then just go straight to the for loop. But if it's multi-purpose, like there's going to be several different things to do, we're going to do an if cloned map dot name is equal to, and then we're going to find it, forest gun fight. I think that's what we called it. Let's check the server storage. Yeah, forest gunfight. So if that's what it is, we're gonna do. This is gonna be a big if statement too, so it's gonna be like a lot of lines, but we're not gonna worry about that now. These scripts can get really long. So for I, comma player in pairs, and we're gonna do the player table because we want only the people from the player table. Do. For that, we're gonna do if, of course, if player, then character is equal to player dot character, like before. We're gonna just redefine that global variable. Else there's no player. Table dot remove players I. So we want to remove the targeted index of the player that's not there. If there's a character, then we want to teleport the character, so teleport character to game. Okay, so character colon find first child. Oh my gosh, I cannot type. Okay. Now humanoid root part. So every player, regardless of R6 or R15, they're gonna have a humanoid root part, and we're gonna want to target that to move them. Dot C frame, so which means coordinate frame, is equal to the first available spawn point, the first one, so the index 1, and the coordinate frame of that. So the coordinate frame of the humanoid root part is equal to the coordinate frame of the available spawn point 1, of the first available spawn point. So now they're going to be, by doing that, they're going to be teleported, essentially. So now after that, we want to remove that table, or that, now that we just used the first available spawn point, we want to remove that first available spawn point to make a new one, the one under it, move up to be the next available spawn point. And this is the wrong thing, it's not supposed to be available max available spawn points. So we want to move the first one, and it's just going to keep going until there's none left, and then everyone's going to be teleported. And then we're going to move down, and we're going to give them gun and tag. We're going to give them their gun and their tag. So local gun or pistol is equal to that's what we needed to do. We needed to go under here, and we're gonna do a local weapons folder. Is equal to server storage wait for child weapons. So that's what we had to do there, and we're gonna bring it down to local pistol is equal to weapons folder find first child, and we're gonna find the pistol, and we're gonna do pistol. Actually, no, we'll go back there. Clone. We want to clone it. Pistol dot parent is equal to the player's backpack, so it's going to be in their inventory. And then, in case it changes the name, just call it the pistol. Local game. Now we're going to do that game tag we mentioned in episode 1. Is equal to instance.new. Now we want a bool value. And now there's different types of values that you can learn from. There's object value, string value, integer value, and bool value. String value is something that contains letters and numbers. An integer value is just numbers, and a bool value is just true or false. So it's either gonna have a true or false possible value. And we're gonna parent it to the player, just like that. Actually, no, we don't want to do that because we need to actually have it initiate. So game tag dot parent is equal to the player dot is equal to character. Just set that. So there we go. Now we have our game tag created. Now we need to make the name game tag dot name is equal to, and we need to set the name game tag so the leaderboard script knows how to find it. And then go outside of that, enter backspace else if there's no character table dot remove from the players table, and we're going to remove them if there's no character, because we don't want them in the game either. And this is as far as I'm going to go for today. If you guys if this was helpful, leave a comment if there's anything that you want me to fix. This game will not function fully yet, especially on the terms of game loop, so if you want to disable the scripts for now, you can. But yeah, until then, I'll see you guys next video. So, peace.